In today's Sweet Ramble video, we're doing something different. I've opened up the topics to the community so I can talk on subjects that would be of interest to you. Today's topic was sent in by a member of the Discord channel. The overarching theme is about feelings of isolation while working in tech. It's a multi-part question, but I'll do my best to organize it into its different parts and address them. The full question is on the screen now. If you'd like to suggest an idea for the next Sweet Ramble video, then drop a comment on this video or join our Discord community and take part in the discussion there. Alright, that's enough of that, let's get into the topic. There seems to be about four main pillars of the question: imposter syndrome, remote work and its perils, burnout and feelings of empathy, and also feeling like a cog in the machine. These are all really interesting topics and could probably warrant a video on their own, but let's power through them one by one. First off, imposter syndrome. Let's cut to the chase. Everyone at some point experiences imposter syndrome. I know I certainly did when I first started at Meta many years ago. For me, it was especially bad because I genuinely did get in on somewhat of a fluke in a very roundabout way that was such a right place, right time kind of thing. Trust me, when I joined, I didn't know jack shit. I was beyond underskilled for the role, and I quickly realized that I didn't know a damn thing. My entire university degree was basically useless because I had almost no practical skills. It was scary. Everyone around me was seemingly so smart and competent. There were so many PhDs and people who had already been there for 5+ years. I was way out of my depth. But I had a golden opportunity at my hands and I just had to make the most of it. I threw myself into learning, and I did so quickly. I took every opportunity to learn something new and to improve my skills. When there was a bit of a slow period at work, I would literally sit in the micro kitchens with a notebook and a pen and just be taking notes on things from the internal wiki, trying to learn as much as I could. I was an information sponge, and I wanted to learn as much as possible, as fast as possible. I was studying at home after work and practicing coding. I went all in. I knew that I was far behind my peers in terms of technical skills and practical experience. I knew that I also couldn't really deliver much. But I made a promise to myself that regardless of what I was working on, I would always do everything to the absolute best of my abilities and hold myself to the highest bar possible. I made sure to adhere to every best practice, meet every style guide, and do everything in my power to ensure that what I delivered was my absolute best work. Over time, my skills grew and I became more confident in my abilities. Things then started to change. I started to be able to accomplish more and I actually became a bit of a subject matter expert in a particular area of work. I then began to see over time that my colleagues all had their strengths and they also had their weaknesses. They were on the surface really smart and competent, but they also had areas in which they were weak and not very good at. There's no strict formula to getting rid of imposter syndrome. Whenever you come into a new environment, you're naturally going to feel a little doubtful of your abilities, especially at a place like Meta, where you're seemingly surrounded by quote unquote top engineers with loads of experience. It's normal. Whether they admit it or not, everyone experiences this. The only way is to push through, figure out what gap you have in your skill set, and then start working towards bridging it. A lot of the times, the feelings are just in our head, especially when we first start out. Once we get the ball rolling and deliver some wins, the feelings of inadequacy start to go away. You just have to keep going. Look at it as an opportunity to level up your skills and become even better than you currently are. If you want to become a boxer and somehow you get the opportunity to train with legends such as Mike Tyson or Floyd Mayweather, you'll probably always feel like an imposter training in their presence. But think of all the things these people can teach you. All you have to do is stick with the training and soak up as much as you can. Over time, you'll improve drastically. Look at it as a blessing that you've been placed in a team with top performers. Learn from them, and you'll fly forward in your career. The second part of the question is about remote work, especially for junior engineers who need help or mentorship. When it comes to remote work, I have a bit of a nuanced opinion. I love remote work, and I also absolutely hate commuting. It's literally a waste of my time in life. There's really no way around it. At this stage of my career, whether it's a good thing or not, I'm more at the hold the line phase than chasing promotions and growth. For people like me with years upon years of experience, remote work is fine. I don't need constant mentorship or in-person time to be productive and deliver. I can just as well work from home and be fine. But the same is not true for junior devs. Frankly speaking, remote work is something that needs to be earned. You need to go through years of graft at the office to build the skills and interpersonal relationships to get to the point where you can go remote. Trying to interact and learn from more senior engineers over Zoom just doesn't work. There's something that just doesn't add up. You need to be able to quickly go talk to someone in person and get help. To discuss things on a whiteboard, to pair programs side by side. These are things which are critical for the development of our junior dev. I wouldn't really be trying to be remote anytime before becoming senior. It just makes life so much harder. I guess it doesn't really also help that most of the senior devs don't want to be in the office 5 days a week. They want to be remote. It's not a nice situation, but one needs to make the most of it and learn from those who actually are in the office and who can help you. There's so much to talk about on this subject, but in the interest of time, I'll just leave it there. The next topic is on the theme of burnout and feelings of pride or apathy about work. I think at a high level, when you're burning out, it's a clear sign that something is not going right. There's a saying out there that goes, that which is unsustainable cannot be sustained. If you're burning out, it's because something that you're doing is not something that you can maintain. Maybe you're working too many hours, maybe you're neglecting sleep, eating poorly, or stress from external factors. Who knows what's going on? But the end result is that you're circling the drain. I know the feeling well, and it's something that I suffer with 2 times a year. For me, it's always the result of not really taking any PTO during a half. I tend to work all half and then take long 2 to 3 week holidays at the end of a half to rest and recharge. Once I start getting into about 5 of the half, I can feel myself being weighed down. The sense of apathy builds, and it becomes harder and harder to keep going. For me, I at least know the root cause of my burnout, and this makes it mentally easier to deal with. I have the date of my time off in my calendar, and it's the target to move towards. For others, it may be harder to pinpoint what the issue is and deal with it. You first need to identify what the root cause and then action on it. Maybe your team is just too high pressure for you. Maybe that girlfriend of yours is not right for you and it's affecting your mental health. Maybe you sleep poorly and just can't focus at work. Identify the cause and fix it, no matter how hard it might be. I wish there was an easy switch we could flip to solve burnout, but sometimes we just need to make tough choices and life changes to address the issue. When it comes to our feelings about work, whether we care deeply or are apathetic, my own personal approach is the same. For me personally, I've never really cared about the work I do. What I mean by this is that the underlying project, or quote-unquote value to users, is completely irrelevant to me. My mindset is that when I work, I'm going to aim to deliver high-quality products, clean, well-organized code that the next generation of engineers can maintain, and I'm going to enjoy the process of solving new problems. At work, I don't really derive satisfaction or fulfillment from the things that I build or deliver to others. What I enjoy most is the process. Coming into a new space, a new unknown problem, and then solving it. When I can get deep in the flow coding, that's when I'm the happiest. I can't really control others or what they do. I can try my best to steer the direction, but ultimately I can't force anyone to do anything. For those that don't meet your same standards, just let it go. Their own motivations and goals are different from yours. If they aren't on the same page as you, just let them do their own thing. Focus on yourself and on what you can control. For me, I've been on both sides. There's coworkers that I've despised due to their seeming allergy to being competent and writing good code. And I've also been on the other side where I just couldn't give a fuck. Other people getting worked up about small details and things that I just couldn't care less about. It all comes with the territory. I focus on doing what I enjoy as much as possible and remember that I'm mostly here for the money and the mental stimulation. I try not to get emotionally invested in the work because at the end of the day for me it's just a job. Meta doesn't care about me, and likewise, I don't care about the company. I'm just a mercenary. Pay me, and I'll do what you need me to do. Having me care, well, that's extra. The last topic is about feelings of being a cog in the machine. There's really no easy way to say this, but you are just a cog. We all are. Even those of us who might be E7+, the truth of the matter is we're just replaceable human resources at a megacorp. We're not a family, we're not friends, this is just a means to an end. And that end is to make the company as much money as possible. There's no real reason to get worked up over that fact or get upset about it. It just is what it is. A lot of the time, our work is largely irrelevant. It will be deprecated in a year's time, or deleted when direction changes. But again, as I said in the previous point, it's not about getting emotionally attached to a job. Don't tie your self-worth and self-esteem to the work. You're here first and foremost for the money. Enjoy the ride, stack the dollar bills, and go with the flow. The lower level you are, the less important your work is. That's just a fact. You probably won't be recognized for something unless it's very, very extraordinary. Because let's be honest, it probably isn't. It isn't moving any key business metrics, it's not really bringing in any extra money. But why does it matter? Look at it this way. They're paying you hundreds of thousands of dollars to work on random tasks. Enjoy it, learn as much as you can, make the most of the opportunity. Just don't take it personally, focus on leveling up and on the things that you can control. If you start to look upwards at those who are the real movers and shakers of the company, the senior engineers and management, E7 plus folks, what you'll start to realize is that yes, their work is the one that gets highlighted and praised, and they get the big pay packets and the additional equity grants, but they're also the ones that have essentially sold their lives to the company. You think that people have much of a life outside of work? After E6, your life is work. You cannot fly under the radar anymore. You're tied in, locked up, albeit with a massive paycheck, but still. You have to ask yourself, do you really want that? To be so tied into the company where you start to sacrifice your personal life and time with your family, where your entire life revolves around making a company more money. Is it worth it? Do you want that trade? I personally don't, but maybe you do. I've met a lot of E7s, and I'm shocked at the hours that they have to work. The amount of themselves they have to pour into work, the amount of energy that goes into maximizing shareholder value. So remember that being a cog in the machine can be a blessing or a curse. It all depends on what you want. As with many things on the list, a lot of it comes down to your own personal mindset. So the choice is yours. Alright, well, that was well and truly a sweet ramble video. These things always seem to divulge in some sort of philosophical rant. I don't know why I keep doing this, but that's just my style. I guess that's just how these things are going to go. Anyway, thank you so much for watching to the end. I hope you enjoyed the video. As a reminder, you can submit your idea for the next Ramble video on the Discord community or in the comments down below. I look forward to interacting with you to crowdsource the next video topic. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.